Quantum thinking in management, leading with complexity and interconnectedness. Hi, let's talk about a leadership approach that breaks free from outdated, rigid management models. Quantum thinking in management. Traditional leadership structures are based on linear cause and effect thinking, where organizations operate like machines, with inputs producing predictable outcomes. But in reality, organizations are complex, interconnected, and constantly evolving systems. The best leaders today don't just follow a set of fixed rules. They adapt, facilitate, and think in systems. Quantum thinking in management embraces the dynamic and interconnected nature of modern organizations. Just as quantum physics reveals that particles don't exist in isolation, but influence and respond to each other, teams, departments, and even external stakeholders function as part of a larger, constantly shifting system. Leaders who recognize these hidden interdependencies can make better, more holistic decisions. One of the biggest shifts in quantum thinking is moving away from rigid hierarchies and embracing fluidity. In traditional models, decisions flow from the top down, with clear boundaries between roles and responsibilities. But in today's fast-moving world, organizations that cling to rigid structures struggle to adapt. The best leaders understand that power is not about control, it's about enabling movement. They create adaptive systems that allow teams to respond quickly and effectively to change without waiting for layers of approval. Another key principle of quantum thinking is the acceptance of uncertainty. Traditional management methods assume that stability and predictability are the ideal states of business. But in reality, uncertainty is always present. Instead of resisting it, great leaders embrace it. They cultivate an experimental mindset where failure is seen as a source of learning rather than something to be avoided. This ability to stay comfortable in ambiguity is what separates forward-thinking organizations from those that are stuck reacting to change rather than driving it. Interconnectedness and systems thinking, leading beyond silos. I've seen organizations struggle when they treat teams as isolated units rather than interdependent systems. Just as in quantum physics, where particles are entangled and influence one another, organizations are made up of people, processes, and systems that constantly interact. A decision made in one area will inevitably create ripple effects elsewhere, sometimes in ways that aren't immediately visible. Leaders who understand systems thinking don't just focus on optimizing individual departments. They look at the entire network of interactions that shape business outcomes. When something isn't working, instead of blaming individuals, they ask what system conditions created this issue. They recognize that everything is connected, and the key to solving complex problems is to understand relationships, not just isolated events. One of the most powerful lessons from quantum thinking is that the act of observation changes outcomes. Just as a scientist observing a quantum particle influences its behavior, the way a leader perceives and engages with their team shapes team dynamics. If a leader sees employees as capable, self-driven problem solvers, they will rise to that expectation. If a leader micromanages and assumes that people can't be trusted, teams become passive, disengaged, and uncreative. Leadership perception isn't neutral. It actively shapes team performance. The best leaders today understand that their role isn't to dictate, but to facilitate. They create environments where teams can self-organize, solve problems collaboratively, and innovate without unnecessary constraints. They remove bureaucratic bottlenecks and encourage cross-functional collaboration, ensuring that information flows freely across the organization. When organizations embrace interconnectedness and systems thinking, they make smarter decisions, innovate faster, and create a workplace culture where people thrive. The real question is, are we still trying to manage complexity with outdated models, or are we evolving our leadership approach to match the reality of today's dynamic business world?